welcome to the Shock 'em Dead podcast, episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about what we've been up to, Evil Dead's 40th anniversary, and some albums that came out in October that we enjoy, or something.
Yeah, we like them.
Yep.
So what have we been up to?
A bunch of nothing, really.
Pretty much. Practicing for the gig.
Yeah, we're playing a gig with Raven, a new British heavy metal band, this Wednesday.
It's a free gig, so come on out. You don't have an excuse. Bring your grandma.
Even if you live on the other side of the world, you better be in Louisville, Kentucky on Wednesday, October 20th.
Yeah, to see that awesome second band.
Yeah. We've been a band for like 6 years, and we have to open, but a band that just started a few months ago that only has one song out gets to play second.
Yeah, but let's not get pissed off about that, because that really chaps my ass.
Chaps my hide.
Well, I'm about to finish Super Metroid, and let me tell you what. I know everybody loves that game, but why is everything so hard to find?
That's the point. It's an exploration game.
It's an exploration game, but it's a damn guessing game, because in Symphony of the Night, I know it came out after. I'm aware. Much after. But you could tell when something was hidden because the wall would have a crack in it or something, or the bricks would be cracked out or something. There would be a hint. You get that x-ray thing and you could see through the wall, but you have to use that everywhere. And sometimes when there's stuff you have to kill everywhere, you don't want to use it all the time.
That's why you get a subscription in Nintendo Power.
We ain't got that no more. So I just been watching, I feel like I'm cheating. I've been watching videos of, I know you know this, watching videos of what to do at certain parts, but it's getting crazy because I'm at the end of the game. I'm pretty sure it's when the actual Metroid just sucks the life out of this weird experiment thing that you have to fight, and then it gives you this weird rainbow beam or something that destroys everything. That's pretty cool. I was like, could have used this before. But yeah, that's my exciting news. And I just been practicing on my practice pad with the double bass thing in the living room, scaring the shit out of the cat. Mm-hmm. She was just dead asleep on the couch, and I started doing double bass stuff. And she was like, and doing flips on the couch and stuff.
Yeah.
She wants to be in the band.
I've been woodworking. I beat Cyberpunk the other day.
Oh yeah, I know what you think of that, but what did you think of that?
If it wasn't so buggy, it'd be okay.
You said it didn't seem finished.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. The ending was kind of abrupt, and
those credits were so long.
Yeah, but then I realized I pressed whichever random button you wouldn't think would be the skip button, and it skipped them.
Yeah, but you'd think with that many people working on it, it would have been better.
Yeah.
How long was that in development for?
Years. Like, most of a decade, probably.
What?
Yeah.
People better not be mad at Keanu Reeves over that.
No, they're not.
I saw some, video clip cover thing, and it had, Keanu Reeves' character, Johnny, holding up a bunch of money. I was like, hey. No. That wasn't Keanu Reeves. Yeah, so haven't been up to much, a little bit late on the podcast because it's been going on, shit happens.
And we haven't quite had a set day we've been doing it.
Yeah, it seems like people like listening to it in the beginning of the week.
Yeah, so I guess we could just start doing it on the weekend and getting it out for Monday morning.
Yeah, that's probably what we'll do. Get into Evil Dead.
All right. Well, old Evil Dead came out 40 years ago. What was it, last Friday? It was 40th anniversary? It's Thursday or Friday? I think it was Friday.
I don't know the exact day.
It was October 14th, I'm pretty sure.
I think it was the 13th or 14th.
1981.
Yeah, it came out in 81.
That was a good year. I remember that year. I was born in 1992.
But that was, I had talked about a little bit on the podcast before this, in episode 2, that was the first real horror movie that I had seen over at my Uncle Mike's house with my Aunt Ange. And I really liked it, and I don't know. And then we found our first copy of it on tape, which we found this copy. I'll post pictures on our Instagram. What you were going to say?
It's the Congress version.
Yeah, the one that looks like they got it from a tape that was rented and watched 500 times, so it's like crap.
I mean, it worked. I watched it. That's how I first saw it. I'd seen Army of Darkness. I watched it in Spanish class in high school.
Why did you? Was it because your teacher just liked it?
Well, it was like the end of the like half of the first 9 weeks, like the end of the semester before fall break.
Okay, so you had a teacher that liked good movies instead of the
weird... He was a really weird guy. He was like a prisoner of war in South America somewhere, and like everyone thought he was like, I don't know, he was just a weird guy. And
you have to have gone through some shit if you're a prisoner of war, though. That's got to really mess with your head.
And he always took people out in the hallway and gave them orals. That's what he called it.
That's not good wording.
No.
It gets you on a list right there.
It was I can't remember what his name was. Mr. something. I don't remember what his name was, but he showed us Army of Darkness.
At least you got that out of it.
And I had him for 3 years of Spanish. Oh, Mr. Blair. That was his name. Mr. Blair, if you're listening, I doubt you are.
Well,
I just called you weird.
Why?
Yeah, but then a little bit later we found the digitally mastered version from
the later 90s, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 1998. Anchor Bay.
Because the first iteration of this tape that came out was on, I already forget.
HBO Canon.
Yeah, it was on HBO Canon. It came out on like a white clamshell weird case thing.
Well, and there's a slip cover version of it too.
But I feel like the reason that this movie is so revered and that everybody loves it, and you know, it's got a huge cult following, and our neighbor kids are screaming. I thought for sure they'd be asleep by now. Just throw them in a wood chip, please. But wood chip or whatever. I think the reason these are so innovative and everything is not only the plot and, you know, the characters and everything that happened, but the way in which the movie was made. It was like painstakingly made in the middle of the woods. I mean, obviously, but that was for real, in the middle of the woods, because...
Shut up over there.
I hate children.
Oh, they're not children. They're like 20.
I just don't like our neighbors. I fucking don't. But anyway,
well, you can tell the first one was made with passion.
Yes.
Low budget, but they really wanted to make a movie.
I mean, they ran out of money halfway through, and Bruce Campbell, like, made his property collateral, and then they borrowed money from friends and, like, took out, like, huge loans and stuff. And I think Bruce Campbell actually did that with his property to get it put onto video.
Yeah.
Because if it hadn't gotten onto video, then I doubt it would have the following it does, because at that point in time, that's when the home video market exploded and a lot of word of mouth got around, like, I guess, tape trading in the 80s.
Well, that was when VCRs got cheaper.
How much were they in the 70s?
Not exactly sure. They were pretty expensive.
When did they come out?
Well, I mean, the technology's been around since the late 60s or so.
What would you call that? Like, personally available instead of commercially? I don't know.
Yeah, it was like mid-70s. Remember Red Foreman got his first VCR and they wanted to record Roots? That was it, Roots.
I don't remember that one.
And well, they didn't know how to set the timer, and they didn't record it. got home and they pressed play and it didn't work, and they
That show's great. Every time I think of that show, though, I think of him like accidentally getting high and going, "You could literally cruise the Vista." When he sold the car for like $200 or something.
yeah. And Evil Dead was the first video nasty, apparently.
Yeah, in Great Britain. I didn't know what that meant because Aunt Ange was actually, you know what? She showed me a lot of stuff. That was the first time I ever saw the show The Young Ones. Sorry. I was over at my Aunt Ange's shore house because I was like, what is that? Because Vivian was my favorite, still is my favorite. Yes. Vivian Bastard. Yeah, but in one of the episodes they say the big thing,
The episode's video nasty?
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. It was called Video Nasty, and I thought it was like
Dirty movies.
Yeah, I know when I was younger, I was just like, I don't know. And then later on, I was like, do they mean like porn? What's going on? And then I realized later on that just meant like a slasher or something because
It was a banned movie by the British government.
well, they significantly altered the movie and took out a bunch of scenes, namely the scene where the girl gets raped by the tree.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, and Germany, it was not in Germany until 2016.
Well, legally.
Yeah, legally. Because I'm sure there was a
There's
heavy
bootleg.
flow on the black market for that.
I'm
But that's crazy, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they could have went to Austria and got a copy of it.
You know what? That's some dedication there. That's like Harold and Kumar going to White Castle. It's like you go to Austria for an Evil Dead and you get the Congress version.
Hans and Lars go to Austria.
I would watch it. It's just them in the car silent for hours. And then they're like, we got the tape. However you say that in German. You know, I learned German for a while on Rosetta Stone, and then I realized I had to pay for it, and I was like, if I went over there, they speak English anyway, so what is the point? But yeah, it was banned in Germany, which the German government must have, like, the clamps on, you know, what everybody's watching and listening to, like, heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely know Wolfenstein wasn't allowed over there at all.
It's over there. They had to change all the Nazi stuff to...
But you kill Nazis. That's the point of the game.
No, not over there. You kill, like, robots or something like that.
Why is it robots? Like Probotector, like Contra was Probotector over there. It's like robots are fine.
No ninjas.
What's the deal with that?
Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
What's the deal with that? Back to the Evil Dead. But the Laserdisc of this was really awesome because Laserdisc was a popular format because...
In Japan.
In America, too.
Well, yeah, it was over here, but the Japanese one's the better. It's like the best version of Evil Dead.
You said it was from the actual reel. They took that...
whatever. It's not a transfer or whatever you call it.
Yeah, but it was really good quality. So they had the upper hand. Anybody that owned a Japanese copy of that on Laserdisc definitely had... I said it again. You know what?
Laserdisc.
That ain't what I mean. I don't even know how that would work, but...
My great uncle had a laser dick.
Say your Uncle Ned?
No. Anyway, the Laserdisc version.
Yeah, the Laserdisc version was really good. And then, you know, the first iteration came out and it was good. And then the second one, the Congress one, was terrible. And people would watch it and they were like, I know this is low budget, but this is like, I could almost not watch it. At least, it might have been exaggerated, but that's how they put it in the little booklet I read, which is in the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, the Book of the Dead. I'm also going to post a picture of this on the Instagram as well. It is, my former friend had gifted this to me. Luckily, she didn't ask for it back. She gifted this to me, and it's pretty cool. It's a special edition DVD of the Evil Dead, and it's got a bunch of writing. It's supposed to be like an unknown language, but it's just some weird font, and they put like "get a load of this weird shit" or something. But it's got cool illustrations, and I'll also post pictures of that on our Instagram, which is Shock 'em Dead Podcast. And it had a little booklet in it that I left in the other room, but it had the history of it, and
and the DVD at the back.
yes,
It's like
yeah,
the
but
last thing.
it's really cool. It feels like they want it to feel like human skin, so I feel like they made this in a way that they would make a decent quality Halloween mask, with
Latex.
yes. It's like that you could tell that they did a mold and like stretched it over it and then like glued it on or whatever, but it's pretty cool. It's got that feeling that kind of gives you the chills. I don't know.
It's full of stuffing.
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool.
James Rolfe from Angry Video Game Nerds, cat destroyed his.
What kind of cat would do that? You calling me liar?
It's got an ear.
That. Yeah, it's got an ear on the back.
It's like the size of your ear.
It's a very small ear. But there have been so many things that came out of that movie, and so many people have been inspired by, the dedication and the sacrifice. They said on the first day of the photo shoot when they were going over the bridge in the car, they got lost in the woods. I don't know how true that is, but that's just like how you start off a shoot and you're like, I'm lost. I'm lost.
Well, apparently that trail going back to it's like zigzags all over the place.
That would suck. But could you imagine the first day of shooting and you're like, where the fuck am I? And then it's just like, guess we gotta go work in the cold because it was the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they choose the winter?
That's probably the cheapest time to rent a cabin in Tennessee.
It was out in the middle of the woods and nobody had used it.
Yeah.
I would like to know the reasoning behind that because they all stayed in that cabin. Like, that's where they stayed, aside from Bruce Campbell, I'm pretty sure, who would go back home in the back of a truck because he'd be covered in the fake blood, which they made with,
It was
like coffee creamer, food coloring, some kind of syrup, and,
wasn't it just, like, the syrup that you use to make candy?
Corn syrup?
Yeah, corn syrup.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And that definitely, because I read something where it said that his shirt got soaked and he was running out of shirts to put on because I think he had like two. Because they didn't have like a wardrobe or anything.
Even though wasn't he just wearing a white shirt?
No, it was blue. It was light blue.
Yeah. He couldn't have, like, they couldn't have went to the store.
It seemed like pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I haven't looked it up on Google Maps in comparison to where it is to like stores and everything, and I'm not really sure where Bruce Campbell lived at the time because we were talking about that. It's his autobiography, and I'd like to read it, but I have not gotten it yet. But he would go home at the end of the shoot or the end of the day or whatever. I'm sure he stayed there sometime because he would help with like directing and the set and everything. And like
special effects.
Yeah, he had a big hand in everything because he put up a lot of money, like I had mentioned earlier, to get this in motion, make sure it got out there. And I think that's part of why it's so great. Like you said, you could tell there's a lot of passion put into this, and they had a vision. And I feel like it's like Stephen King said, it was in a foreword of one of his short stories. It was in the beginning of...
That's our cat.
Oh. She alright?
Yeah, she's meowing at the door.
Jeez, she must hear us talking. But, I thought that was one of the kids next door. She's trying to get in. She's breaking through. But, I was going to say... What was I saying?
You were talking about, like, the passion of them making it and Bruce Campbell putting up money.
Oh, I was saying there was a foreword in the beginning of the short story, Everything's Eventual, which is also the name of the collection of short stories Stephen King made that was a book, Everything's Eventual. And he said that when he got the initial idea for this story, Everything's Eventual, he just started writing and it was just done.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one sitting, done. And he was like, you know what? Most of the time, I feel like we're just vessels and the idea already exists and it comes through a specific person. And he said it just happens to be me. Which Stephen King is apparently a really nice guy and also ties into this. Because.
And it ties into episode 1's movie, The Dark Half.
Yes. And episode 2 with
Yeah.
Christine. I know he's super popular and everybody loves Stephen King, but I grew up reading those stories. You grew up watching the movies,
Mm-hmm.
which you like to read too, but you didn't really have the books growing up. But his quote.
I do now, though.
Yeah, we have plenty. But this movie was shown to Stephen King, and he loved it so much that New Line Cinema bought it after his recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
We might have to cut and do something about the cat.
Yeah.
I was saying that Stephen King had seen the movie, and he liked it so much that he bought the company. Spatula City. No, he liked it so much that New Line Cinema found out that he liked it and bought the movie, and that's how it got onto on the tape and everything, and it got really popular that way.
And he said the most ferociously original horror film of the year. They can't see that. It's on the poster back here.
Yeah. That's our cat, by the way. We just let her in.
This is Susie Sue. And she's knocking stuff over.
That's what she do. But I'm going to take her off the table. I
Yeah.
just wanted to let her in because I knew if I didn't,
She'd be meowing at the door.
yes. And she just wants to be around us. Put those back up. Yes, but throughout the filming of this, getting back to, how it came out and everything, most of the cast left, like, 3/4 of the way through, because at the end of the movie, spoiler, the movie's, 40 years old, so I don't know what to tell you. Go watch it if you haven't. But towards the end of the movie, like, the plot is bunch of kids go out to a cabin in the woods.
5 college friends unwittingly release a horrific curse by reciting an ancient incantation. One by one, the friends are possessed until the film careens into a splattering climax.
What does this one say?
Ever present, ever listening, the evil dead lie in wait for one of the ancient incantation, ancient incantation that will give them license to possess the living. Watch in horror.
License.
I don't know.
I have my license to possess the living. Please leave me alone.
Watch in horror as 5 vacationing college students unwittingly resurrect the slumbering demons and are forced into battle with the supernatural forces that occupy the forest and dark bowers of a man's domain.
What?
Bowers. The innocent must
I'm gonna look
suffer.
that up.
The guilty must be punished. One by one, the students are possessed by these demons whose thirst for revenge is insatiable. As the night wanes, only one man remains, Ash. He must now defend himself while trying to uncover the horrible secret of the evil dead.
Bower, noun. An attractive dwelling or retreat. That is a euphemism for that cabin, because that cabin was like falling apart and crooked and everything.
Yeah.
And that our porch swing, every time it's windy or something, I think of the Evil Dead. And he read the plot, and that was a decent synopsis of the plot on both.
Mm-hmm.
You have anything to add?
What about the plot?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much got it.
But my favorite part of that movie is when it
Tree rape.
shit hits the fan. No,
Oh, okay.
no, but I'm sure that's some people's favorite part, but it ain't mine. I was gonna say when shit hits the fan, when they're doing the they're brain fart.
They're reciting?
No, they have the cards and she's guessing the cards and she's like, wow, it's like you're psychic or something. And then over by the window, tree rip girl.
Yeah.
She is looking out the window and she says Queen of Hearts and all that stuff. And then it's from the I actually heard the Evil Dead song off Annihilation of Civilization where it uses that clip. And when I first
the band Evil Dead.
yes, the band Evil Dead. I said off Annihilation of Civilization. Anybody that knows that album knows. And if you don't know that album, Evil Dead Annihilation of Civilization, go check it out because that is some very good 80s thrash. But that clip they used in the beginning, you have awoken us from our ancient slumber. Why have you done this? You will pay. That thing. When I first heard that, I was like, that's what that's from. Just like in the Blues Brothers, that one clip was in a coroner song. I was like, that's what that's from? I thought it was from some propaganda shit or something cool. I was like, the Blues Brothers? I thought it was some grim, evil thing.
No. What's wrong with the Blues Brothers?
No, nothing. But, there was also another coroner song, and it was, We Have to See. We Have to Know. And we watched that movie. It was somebody doing like brain surgery or something, and I cannot remember it. If somebody remembers what that's from, I guarantee you Cody Knar knows if he's listening.
K Nizzle.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sure, if you want to call him that. But yeah, I'd like to know what movie that's from too. But like I said, that clip when that part of the movie came, I was like, that's from that song, but for good reason. And that's not why that's my favorite part of the movie. It's just so evil, and then everything just escalates so quickly. And I specifically remember when the first Deadite, Cheryl, I believe, is she's down in the basement where they found the ancient relics and the tape recorder that was actually
the fake basement.
Yeah, because that was somewhere else because there wasn't a basement in that cabin, right?
Yeah, they just dug a hole and cut a square out of the floor.
Where was the basement then?
It was at Sam Raimi's house, I think.
Oh, there were 3 filming locations, but I wasn't sure. I don't know if they count the woods, the cabin, and the basement, maybe.
Probably.
Because there's no way there would have been a basement in that shitty cabin.
No.
But yeah, that tape recorder was actually Bruce Campbell's father's tape recorder, and the voice on the tape recorder was what name did I say? It was like some.
There's the tape recorder part. I don't know.
Bob Dorian.
Oh yeah, Bob Dorian.
Yeah, because I was looking at facts.
American Movie Classics host.
I'm not sure who that is. I assume he would have been in the 70s. Cause what year was Vampira? Cause I know that's totally
60s.
different, but okay, yeah, it's 60s, and then Elvira is the 80s, right?
Yep.
And Vampira wanted to sue her, which is just weird.
Even though Vampira was also a ripoff.
I just think it's weird to want to go after somebody that's just trying to make a living.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking at a picture of this guy. Do you recognize him?
No.
Nope.
Well,
Don't know.
Scroll down a little more.
Well, he died in 2019.
He's known for Evil Dead, 2013.
What did he do in that?
I wonder if they just used the same tape. Wait, when did he die?
2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did have that tape in there, didn't they?
Yeah. And, hey, we just found that movie the other day. That Curse of the Jade Scorpion.
Yeah, tell him about that flea market score while I get our cat away from various things on the floor she's trying to eat.
We found some tapes. We got 27 tapes for $8.
Yeah, there were some stinkers in there. Like, what was that weird Aladdin knockoff?
Yes.
That is weird.
Yeah, but there was like Death Wish 4.
Yeah. And $1. Is it like $1 for a stack of tapes? It was like, okay, even though they were
all taped together.
Why do people do that? Did you guys ever find any tapes at a flea market or something, and then it's just taped all to hell, and you're like, who did this and thought it was a good idea? Were you high?
I mean, yeah, I did. I mean, I just told you that happened to me, so you know.
I meant.
I think she's leaving. Nope, she's gonna sit in the door.
That's what she wants. She doesn't want the door shut. She doesn't want it open. And when you're going to the bathroom, she puts both her paws under the door and she's like, meh, 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 meh.
That's a cat.
Yep.
Now,
But we won't talk about that other Evil Dead.
I mean, so far, everyone like everyone's like it's okay, and then you're the only one that's like it's
That's
bad.
because this movie is sacred to me. I don't care if Sam Raimi is like, this is what I wanted to do in the first place, which is a fucking lie. And like, well, Bruce Campbell likes this version. It's like, good for Bruce Campbell. You know what version I like? This one.
Yeah.
This one. You know what? Even Evil Dead 2. I do really like that.
I like the deer head.
Yeah, but I just was confused because at the time, I didn't know about horror comedy and stuff, which I'm not a huge fan of. I just like it to be morbid and gory and everything.
You don't like Tucker and Dale?
No, that's funny. That's full on comedy. It's
Yeah.
like gory comedy and like Shaun of the Dead and stuff. But there's a fine line because, you know, this is a sacred formula, like I said. And to you know, drop a droplet of... It'd be like if you had a perfect soup and then you just put some red food coloring in there. It's like, fucking why?
Or you dropped a big log in there.
I mean, if that's the analogy you want to go for, that kind of makes me want to puke, but okay. Somebody just makes a pot of
like
soup and then
It's
it's like
big old pot of
Moochie Welch comes and
big
takes a dump in it.
big old pot of Campbell's chicken noodle soup. The best soup in the world.
Really? Do you like that soup that much?
No, I mean it just reminds me of being sick.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like me then. I don't like soup unless I'm sick. I don't see how that's a meal.
Unless you consider ramen soup.
I wouldn't.
I mean, it says noodle soup on the
I
package.
drain. We both drain the noodles.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No,
I drain my noodles.
I drain it into my belly. But back to the Evil Dead. I always admired like how they filmed it. Like they didn't have like any of like the big cranes to move the cameras around or anything like that. They just used 2x4s and whatever else they could find.
A canoe. That's how they got that. I was reading how that's how they got that shot in the beginning. It was Sam Raimi on a little canoe or a boat or something, and the water was so shallow that Bruce Campbell was just pushing him in the boat to get that shot.
And the camera was on a 2x4 there too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because he was holding it out in front of the canoe.
Okay, so this... Damn.
That's why you can't see the water moving.
That's a gamble, too.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they only had, like, 1 or 2 cameras max.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think you were the one that told me that the shot they got in the woods, it was just him running on the... with the camera on the 2x4 or something.
Ted and one of the other crew members, they had the camera mounted in the middle of a 2x4, and they were like each holding one end of it and then just running through the woods.
What if they tripped or something?
I'm sure they did. And the scene where like the camera goes over the car was like done that way too. And when the camera busts through the window, like for that one scene, that was a 2x4 mounted just out of view of the camera, and they rammed the 2x4 through the window with the camera.
That must have been hard. Did they have multiple windows, you think?
Probably not. They probably just used a different window if they messed up, I guess.
Wow. And it probably would have made it even colder in that cabin.
Yeah.
My God. And it said that they were all grumpy and everything. I would have been.
Yeah,
I would have been grumpy as hell.
How many crew members were there? And they were all sleeping, like 13 people?
I think so. About that.
Sleeping in that, like, frozen cabin, like, up in the mountains of Tennessee.
Yeah, and that was, like I said, the summer 79 to 80. I don't know what the temperature would be for that. I don't know who would know that off the top of their head, unless they lived through it.
Well, I remember here in Kentucky, just north of Tennessee, I think it might have been 77, but it was like the coldest winter for like 100 years. It was like the big blizzard.
Whoa, well, I'm at least glad they didn't do it then. Holy crap. That would have been a hell of a thing to do.
Yeah.
But you were spot on. 13 crew members.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah, but I probably would have gotten pissed off when I have trouble remembering the girls' names in the movie. I know there's Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Oh God. Well, the one that goes last, pretty much. So I think it's Ash's girlfriend. Um,
You clicked the wrong thing. No, it's the next one.
but Ash's girlfriend, whenever she turns and she's sitting in that doorway going nan nan pee, I would have been like, shut up. I wouldn't have. I would have been like, I can't film this because I remember being annoyed by that every time I watch it. I'm like, shut up. And the effects, like, that's genuine. Like, people are like, oh, that looks cheesy. I hate when I feel like it's people who don't watch movies from the 70s and 80s or even like the 60s or something, and they're like, that looks so stupid. It's like, that's because it's not CGI.
That movie's from like 100 years ago or something. You were looking at the cast, not pictures.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at the.
You passed it all up.
Okay, so there's Shelley Scott, obviously. Cheryl, Linda. Linda was the one.
Yeah.
That was his girlfriend that got was sitting in the doorway doing that because she was one of the last to go. Scott was the last to go because that's when you know Ash is losing it. Is when Scott's on the couch, clearly turning, and he's just gone. He dead, but he's like, "We'll get out of here in the morning," and he's trying to give him like a drink of water. Dude's dead. I'm like, okay, whatever makes you feel better.
I wonder what David Horton's up to these days.
David Horton.
Being a fake shimp still.
I have my resume ready for fake shimp. There's a lot of fake shimps.
You know, yeah. Pretty much everybody was a fake shimp at some point.
Ted Raimi. I wonder what he worked on.
He was a fake shimp. He's the one that came up with the term.
No, I meant like afterwards.
Oh.
I know who Ted Raimi is.
A whole bunch of stuff. He works as his brother. He was... I think he acted in Spider-Man.
Wasn't he at like the state? It's like, you know, I watched that movie when I was younger, and I liked it. I remember I saw it in a theater, and when I came out, I was like, wow.
What, Spider-Man?
Yes. I remember that was the first time I had seen a movie, and I came out of the theater, and I was like, whoa. I want to jump from building to building and everything, but, you know, if you read the comics, you're like, really, Tobey Maguire? Really, Sam Raimi? Or at least the comics from the 80s, which I'm sure people probably don't consider.
Yeah, Peter's webs didn't just come out of his wrists.
Yeah. Because the way that... I know I told you this, but I just think it's so funny that the way in the comics that Harry finds out that Peter's Spider-Man is that Peter was trying to go on a cruise with Mary Jane, who's a hippie asshole in the comics, because she's like, Peter's been such a drag since his uncle died and his girlfriend died, and he's trying to have a good time with her on the cruise, and then like the Punisher comes and he's an idiot, and this other guy comes and he has to go back home and get more webbing, and he's like, I don't even know why I'm doing this, everybody piece of shit. He's rummaging through his top drawer to get his web, and he has his mask off or his whatever off, and Harry's in the door just like,
Duh.
No, he's got this weird smile on his face, and then, you know, Peter just pieces out and gets back there, and Harry's still like, he's Spider-Man.
Ted Raimi was Hoffman in Spider-Man, and he was...
Who is Hoffman?
He was Scooge and holographic alien head in Invader Zim.
Scooge. Like Invader Scooge, maybe?
I don't know.
I really like Invader Zim.
Oh, he was in Bikini Squad.
Uncredited.
He was Scared Onlooker.
Have you ever seen Bikini Squad? I was Scared Onlooker.
That's his favorite movie he's ever worked on. Cowardly Warrior, Army of Darkness. As Theodore Raimi.
Now, would you rather talk about Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness separately?
Yeah, we can talk about them when they turn 40. No, we'll talk about them another day.
Yeah. But there have been so many things that came out of Evil Dead. Like, there have been so many games. Like, there was that one on the Commodore 64, wasn't there?
Well, there's only the ones we have here.
But they have the same intro in every single one of them.
Pretty much.
No, I'm for real. He says, like, the same thing.
Well, it's not exactly the same.
So I had to lob it off. What,
oh.
girl? She's trying to jump on me to sit on my lap. Come here. Come here, shrimp. I call her Shrimp. Her name's Susie.
Yeah, there was a Commodore 64 game. I think it was like a homebrew kind of thing.
I think it was like a point and click investigatory thing.
Yeah, but then after that there was Evil Dead: Hail to the King.
Apparently I have not played that because that is on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I played it a little bit. I didn't beat it. It was on the PS1 too.
Oh.
PS1 also. And then
Fistful of Booms. This was the first one I got, and it's not great.
Well, it was the first one that came out, and then Regeneration came out after.
Much better.
It's still not great.
No, but compared to this one, oh my god.
And there's going to be a new one coming out soon. It's going to be one of those, what do you call it, asymmetrical, like the Friday the 13th game. And
oh man, where you got to be online.
Yeah, well, I think those games have offline mode.
I would like to play the Friday the 13th one, but I would have to be Jason or I would shit my pants. I'm a little bitch when it comes to horror games. Like, I couldn't finish Resident Evil 2 because Mr. X scares the crap out of me. Full grown woman.
And I beat it in like 4 hours.
Yeah, that's because you're not a little bitch. I am. I don't know. It scares the crap out of me. Like, I really do like that game, but it would make me actually, like, lose my breath because I'd get... When you hear that stomping and your controller starts vibrating and you're like... And you turn around and there he is in his trench coat. I think the fact that he is... he looks humanoid, but he's huge.
He's like 10 feet tall.
And you can't kill him. Like, when you shoot him, or if you shoot his head off, he just kind of cracks his neck and he stands back up. And those are the 5 seconds you have to run away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're talking about Evil Dead. I'm sorry. But yes, it spawned a lot of things, and there's actually a convention in Lexington on my birthday, 22nd. My birthday is on the 22nd of this month.
This upcoming Friday.
Yep, and Bruce Campbell's going to be there.
But we will not be there.
Yeah, because I'm not really big on conventions myself. I just don't like being around.
If you would like us to be there, donate $5,000 to us.
And we will definitely use it for...
going to meet Bruce Campbell.
I wouldn't... What do you have to say to Bruce Campbell that a billion people haven't had to say? That's what I think of.
Hey man, have you ever watched the Buttercream Gang?
He stands up. That's my favorite movie.
How about Slappy and the Stinkers?
I thought you said, how about I slap you in the stinker?
No, Slappy and the Stinkers.
I slapped Bruce Campbell in the stinker.
No, Regeneration is not the best one.
Better of the two.
I don't think so. You got that weird little guy that follows you around. It's more fun.
He does not shut up in this. Like, if you walk 5 feet, he starts talking. And look, it's Bruce Campbell. It's funny the first 3 times, and then after that, you're like, all right, buddy, shut up.
And Hail to the King is tank controls. I mean, I grew up with tank controls, so I'm used to it, but a lot of people don't like them.
I didn't grow up with I had a Super Nintendo, and then later on I had a PS2, but we'll talk about that later on, too, because I think that's a good topic.
Mm-hmm.
But this,
MTV Skateboarding, featuring Andy Mcdonald.
Because that's one of the games that's advertising in the Dreamcast one.
Mm-hmm.
But
we have that game.
Oh, we do?
Mm-hmm.
But we have, I know it's not the first Evil Dead, but I have the NECA action figures for the Evil Dead 2 anniversary. That was loud, I'm sorry. It was the 30th anniversary. I got this, I'm going to go with like 4 or 5 years ago. But I originally wanted to make a little cabin, and I started to out of like popsicle sticks, and I was gonna make them look distressed and everything, and kind of uh, put a finish on them to make them look like a cabin. And I had cut them and sanded them down to make little boards. But then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
where the hell am I gonna put this? Because we don't necessarily have a big house, so yeah, that went out the window. But it's pretty cool. I'm also gonna post a picture of this on our Instagram.
Evil Dead 2 came out in 1987. Not sure what day. So next year will be the 35th anniversary of that.
Would you like to talk about the first time that you saw this? Because I had talked about that last podcast, and brief reiteration, I had just seen it at my aunt's, and I thought it was awesome. I explained earlier, because my Uncle Mike had it, or has it. I'm sure he still has it. I'm sure you still have it, Uncle Mike.
He threw it out. He's like, oh, why would I want this?
That girl Olivia watched it. Ew. Gross. With her eyes.
I first watched it when we found this copy, this Congress version, and we watched it on a 13-inch little CRT at my grandma's house.
We did.
Yeah.
It was at night, too.
Yeah. I think we watched it with my dad. 'Cause I remember we used to watch movies with him over there, sitting at the kitchen table watching that little tiny TV.
That wasn't bad, though.
No?
Kind of depressing. But, man, I had forgotten that, because we did watch a lot of movies. Like, we would go, like I had said in the podcast about Christine, which was the last one, we didn't have Netflix or anything. I don't mean to say that like you're lucky. I just meant at the time we didn't have, Netflix and everything. So if we found a movie, that's what we would watch. And we would go to the flea market and pick up movie for, this was 50 cents.
Yeah, I think this was...
Probably 50 cents, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but there was a booth at the flea market that we usually go to, because we found this one up at the one we don't frequent.
Yeah, well, it's not there anymore. The one in Louisville.
Oh, it isn't?
Louisville. Yeah, it's not there. They moved. There's another one up there, but the one that we got that from isn't there.
Oh, that stinks.
I think it became a Roses or something like that.
Lame. There used to be a booth at the Litchfield Flea Market in Kentucky that we go to. It was nothing but tapes, and it was awesome. That's where I found all the complete series of the Young Ones, which wasn't many episodes.
There's 4 tapes.
I think it's 3 episodes per tape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we found all kinds of stuff there.
Yes.
Like Lord of the Dance. We didn't buy that, though.
There was all those copies of Speed, and we were like, how many copies of Speed are there? And years later, we're trying to find Speed, and we can't find it anywhere.
I thought I already had it, because I had it when I was growing up, but I don't know where it went.
We eventually found it, and then our VCR tried to eat it.
Yeah.
But is this where we found, is that where we found this one?
No, we found that one, Danville, outside of Lexington.
Oh man. That's a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember being like, we already have one, but I want this one.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good thing that we both did want to get it, because,
well, yeah, I don't care. If I won't buy another copy that's exactly the same, but I'll buy
I would. Of Evil Dead.
Well, yeah, probably. Look how many copies of Terminator we have.
Yeah, if you see something for $0.25,
yeah,
you're gonna get it. That's why there's no room in our house. Because we're both like that.
We have hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff we paid $0.25 for.
That's great to say. No one knows where we live. Except for, like, Cody.
He knows where we live?
We've sent him stuff.
Oh.
He wants to come visit, be on the podcast.
Yeah, Tim kind of knows where we live.
Yeah. I don't think Tim's going to steal shit, and I know Cody's not going to steal shit. But the reason that we wanted to talk about this is because for me, it's sacred.
And it's 40 years old.
Yeah.
Lordy, the Evil Dead's 40.
make some shitty banner and stick it up on the Times or the square in
Yeah.
Litchfield, because they always have like, it's Lauren's 40th birthday. You don't look a day over 5. It's like this really long message. It's like, how would you have time to read that and cause an accident in the square?
Dear sweet Georgina, we're so glad that you were born 87 and a half years ago. It's not even your birthday, but we're happy.
We're afraid you're gonna die.
You died 14 years ago, but we're still glad you're hanging around. You've been in that chair all these years.
At this point, the banner is on the ground and like rolled up. There's some bird squirreling around in there.
Your stank might be the worst thing I've ever smelled my entire life.
But that's because I dug you up and gave you a sniff. I seen a dead bird on your head, and I said, well, she won't want that there.
Many a Cop 3 badge of silence. Reporter.
Okay, now you're just reading off what Ted Raimi was involved in.
That's the best one.
I'm going to just go back to the video of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the gang dances, because I have watched that so many times.
It was what season was that? The last of the episode.
I don't know. It was when Dennis wants to go be a dad, and then it was that awful episode with.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The gang gets racist. Hip Hop Hooray by Naughty by Nature. I have that tape somewhere.
Hip hop. That's not the. It's a Tom Tom Club. It sings the "What are you gonna do when you get out of jail?"
Well, I have that Naughty by Nature tape somewhere.
Wasn't that your Aunt Sherry's?
No. Not that one.
Oh, because I remember we got a box. We were like, Naughty by. What?
No,
Was she?
that was or maybe. No, it was Naughty by Nature the one that did OPP.
I don't know. Excuse me. Would you like to wrap up The Evil Dead?
Yeah.
But the dedication to having that come out and the resurgence of the tape itself.
I was right. Naughty by Nature, OPP. You know me.
Yes. But, you know, just how this came about, that Stephen King saw it, and they thought it was just going to go into the dustbins of obscurity.
Yeah.
Not security.
Yeah.
But they thought it was just going to flop. And then everybody started.
That's a really good movie.
Exactly. And you know what? It's a good segue to get into what albums we were going to talk about. Even though these two songs that are off the albums that I'm going to mention are not turning a certain age, but it's going into the music segment of the podcast. The Evil Dead was so significant in some people's lives that they wrote a song about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chuck Schuldiner.
Mm-hmm. It was the band Death on both of our shirts. We didn't plan that.
No. Him, Chuck, and I forget the very first members of his band because he had like a bajillion members. Like at one point.
Mm-hmm. And then he moved to California and
he moved to Toronto, then he moved to California, then he moved to West Virginia, then he moved to Florida.
Who was it in Toronto? Was it Slaughter or?
Yeah, it was Slaughter.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be in Slaughter and it didn't work out. And his mom paid for all that because I read that in Choosing Death. It's been a while since I've read that, but like I still remember, most of it. But that was crazy. And people criticized him for, getting different members so much, but Chuck had a vision of him getting hit in the head with an iron bird. Wasn't that tapping? Like, we both found out it was tapping because we used to cover that back when I still played guitar. I mean, I still play guitar, but when I played guitar in the band, and Dustin was still our drummer, because we both would play that because we covered Evil Dead. And now I play it on drums. But yep, they wrote The Evil Dead because Chuck and his friends, Chuck saw that movie in the theater, and then he went and saw it, and it would be like a midnight showing. It wouldn't be like, a matinee. and he would go like every weekend. Did you want to? Did you want to
What?
play that? I don't
No,
know.
I just
Okay.
did.
He would go every weekend because he loved it so much, and then he wrote The Evil Dead about it. And of course, the Deicide song "Dead by Dawn." It's amazing. It's off of their title record, their first album.
Self-titled.
Yes, self-titled. I don't know. I had a brain fart. But Dead by Dawn. Dead by Dawn.
Dead by Dawn.
Dead by Dawn. Yeah, awesome song. And yeah, I'm sure that's what everybody wants to hear when they got the headphones in or something. But
And then
There-
Evil Dead, the band, named their whole band
Yeah.
after Evil Dead, but they made it all one word. Evil
Which
Dead.
I didn't know when I looked it up on LimeWire years and years and years ago. I probably got the movie and I was like, this ain't it. After waiting like 3 days. But another band that wrote about. Let's get the records going over here. Oh, first one. Got it. Got him. Another band that wrote a song about a movie that they loved, which was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first big bands in the death metal movement. And they were the first band to have a song or anything with the title death metal, because one of the songs is called death metal.
Who's that by?
I was about to say. Possessed. 7 Churches. Came out how many years ago?
I don't know. You tell me.
I had to do all the research, didn't I?
1999.
Yeah, that's when it came out. I have it written down. Hold on.
1985, wasn't it? We gotta look it up. She forgot to write down the.
'Cause I gotta write down everything.
Our brains don't work quite as well as they used to. 1985, I was right. October 16th. That was yesterday.
And they recorded it in spring because they were in high school, and their manager, Debbie,
Was an old lady.
but she wanted to help them record the album because she wanted to keep them in school, but she also supported what they did, and she was a big part of the Bay Area thrash scene and the heavier scene, like the. But they did that on their spring break in high school. I remember reading that in high school, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? These dudes made one of the best albums ever on spring break. And what did I do? I probably played, like, Battlefront 2 and ate Cheez-Its.
And this used to scare me when I first found it, like when I was a teenager.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, are you talking about that song that's backwards in the beginning?
Well, just the whole thing, all the whole, like the devil stuff, like scared me.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually thought, like...
I was listening to Garth Brooks. No, I wasn't. I was listening to the not death metal stuff.
This was the first death metal album that I ever loved. And I remember, for some reason, I don't know how I achieved this, but I listened to it during a test in science class, and I got an A, and I was like, wow, it's magic. But I think I just filled in the right bubbles or something, because I was like, it's great. But this was...
You bought me that.
Yes, this was the first... Was this the first record I ever bought you?
Mm-hmm.
I bought him this, and he bought me Beneath the Remains by Sepultura. And,
Don't you mean Sepultura?
oh, God.
Sepultura, bro.
If I ever hear anybody say that, I'm going to get my dirty-ass sock and shove it in their mouth. But,
I'm wearing a cowboy hat and a football jersey at the same time. Sepultura, bro.
all right, J-Dog.
I-Dog.
But this is such an iconic album. And it did shock a lot of people. Like, I'm sure if you were scared when you were a teenager, could you imagine?
Yeah, back then.
Yeah.
Listening to,
Even the logo.
let's see, 1985, you probably listening to some Madonna.
Yeah. And this was happening. Teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
How? Like Jeff Becerra? Is that his? I
Yeah.
said his name Jeff Becerra because I didn't grow up with people talking about it. It was me and Lauren. I met my best bud Lauren Vespa, who I've known, or Lauren Thorne, who I've known for since I was like 12.
Bunch of years.
We met on YouTube of all places back when that was like first a thing, and she loved death metal, and she kept trying to get me to listen to death, and I was just into thrash metal, and she was like, "Here, check out this cover of Painkiller," because I loved Judas Priest at the time. I still like Judas Priest, but I was like obsessed with Judas Priest, and I listened to it, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And then I just went back. I'm sorry, and I listened to Scream Bloody Gore, my shirt, and then I went from there, and I was like, everything's amazing. Everything. Mm-hmm. And they were a big influence on death, too.
Well, you probably thought his name was Becerra because there's 2 C's here. I think isn't it Becerra?
I'm pretty sure there's 2 C's. I don't know why they'd misspell it, especially on the repressing. Because that's on,
This is a back on black.
One of those 180 gram
One of those big,
things.
thick turds.
It's like a fucking book.
Yeah. Larry Lalonde, or Lalonde, however you say it, Lur.
Lur. Lur.
No, that's what they call him. He went on to be the guitarist of Primus.
And he was in Blind Illusion before that, which had some members of Primus and stuff.
Yeah, had Les Claypool.
Yeah, that's what it was, Les Claypool. But the, Jeff Becerra Posist.
Yeah, see?
That is 1 C. Why is there 2
they spelled it backwards. That's probably why, because 2
Did they just keep it authentic or something?
Yeah, I guess so. Because 2 C's in like Italians, k,
yeah.
It? Or a ch. It'd be like Becerra, I guess. But yeah, it's Becerra with 1 C and 2 R's.
Well. Yeah, but I hope I'm remembering her name right, Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie. Well, it probably says it right there. Because there's pictures of her in Murder in the Front Row.
And it's like Venom had did, the whole shocking thing.
Yeah, black metal.
Yeah. Because they were the first band to coin that term.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Sweden was just like, guess what, bitch?
Let's see, it says that they were inspired by bands like Hellhammer, Bathory, Creator, Destruction, Death, Sodom, and Slayer.
Bathory. One podcast, we're going to talk about Bathory because that is one of my favorite bands, and I know you love Bathory too.
Even though you always say Quathorn.
I don't know why. Oh. Quorthon. It's like my brain is just like, and I say it wrong.
So you're not dyslexic, but you are with his name for some reason.
I am dyslexic with some stuff.
Like his name.
And other stuff.
Dang, giant records don't go back in the things. Alright, I'll do it later.
Yeah, you're just making a bunch of noise in the...
ASMR. See.
So is Jeff Becerra able to walk again?
A little bit, yeah. They think he'll just keep getting better, hopefully, where he can actually just walk.
That's awesome. I'm really glad for that. Would you like to talk about there are a few other bands that had an anniversary either this past week or very recently, like the day before, because that came out October 7th.
This is Exodus, Pleasures of the Flesh.
Yes, that is possibly my favorite Exodus album. I know it's probably blasphemy because, Bonded by Blood is the go-to, like the Bible of Exodus. But,
Keep on. No.
But, yes, this was, I just remember listening to this and my mind was blown. Like, I love Fabulous Disaster, too, which she's holding up in the background here. We have that on vinyl. That was that weird one you got that was two.
Yeah, it's 2.
Why?
I don't know. And then the first one they sent me was 2 B-sides. Or C and D sides.
Was it dudes, like...
Yeah, that's
just
another Back on Black special.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this Pleasures of the Flesh original pressing, though.
Yeah, we got that at a Mellow Matt's record store day.
In Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah, that was an awesome find. Because I never thought that I would find this on vinyl.
Well, I
Or we
mean,
both found it. You know
figure,
what I'm talking about.
I mean, I figure we would eventually, but not at a.
Yeah, not at Mellow Mats.
Yeah.
No offense to Mellow Mats. I'm just saying, like,
He doesn't get really a whole lot of metal in there.
yeah. And, you know, I know Exodus is Big Four, I guess.
No, they're not.
Oh, they're the
They're-
honorable mention, I
yeah,
guess. They
they're
should be in the Big Four, in my
They're
opinion.
Like, the minor league for.
That's not fair. You know what? Honestly, I'm probably gonna piss some people off, but I like them better than Testament. I have
Testament's not
listened.
in the Big Four either.
Wait, what? They're honorable mention too?
Yeah.
What is it? Megadeth, Metallica,
Anthrax and Slayer.
Anthrax.
Yeah.
Come on, Exodus
You-
is more thrashy than Anthrax.
Oh yeah.
This
They
is way
They had to
heavier
give
than
one.
Anthrax.
They had to give one East Coast band a shot. They couldn't all be from California.
Anthrax isn't even that. We saw them in a club, and I love Anthrax, but they're too happy.
I think Garth Brooks should be in the Big Four.
What's with you and Garth Brooks? He's just trying to shove his way in. He's like, get out of here, Garth Brooks.
In the Thunder Rolls. Bow, bow, bow.
The
In the
darkest.
Thunder Rolls.
Are you done?
Yeah.
The darkest album that Anthrax has.
In the Thunder Rolls. I'm done. Copyright strike.
If you do it one more time, I'm just gonna go play with the damn cat. The darkest Anthrax album is Persistence of Time, and I still don't even think it's as heavy as any Exodus album.
No.
Wait, you know what I'm talking about? It's like I like Anthrax, but they're
Well, it's going by sales though, not by how heavy they are. Because I mean, if that was the case, Metallica wouldn't be in there.
they're basically Garth Brooks in the mid '90s.
Yeah.
Please don't do it again.
I'm not.
Just gonna bomb me with more Thunder Road. That's not a terrible song. It's not that bad compared to the other shit that I've heard that you've put on that like you heard growing up that you not necessarily like Way Down Yonder.
Hey,
I'm
don't make fun of Alan Jackson
God,
now.
his mullet in that video, I was like,
He doesn't have a mullet.
that thing was keeping him from flying off them waves. That dude had
He had feathery, kind of medium length hair.
So now you're defending
Alan Jackson, yeah.
Chattahoochee boy.
He grew up way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. He never knew how much those muddy waters meant to him.
See, now, I didn't hear this stuff growing up in Yankeeville, I guess.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Even though nobody says Jersey, and that's always...
No. Jersey, New Jersey. That's how they'd say it. The birds, go birds. But they, I just heard Bruce Springsteen, who I do not like, and, Journey and stuff, which I do like.
The Boss.
Yeah, and,
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel. WMMR, classic rock.
D93.
I like
Bowling
MMR.
Green's best rock.
I still think Eminem. I still think MMR is good because I heard it on somebody had it on satellite radio when we used to work at our other job. It was like this weird. If somebody didn't really talk to her, I was like, "Are you listening to MMR?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know." I was like, "I grew up listening to that." He was like,
I remember that guy.
Yep, yeah. But getting back to Exodus, I think they deserve Big Four status for sure. And Steve Souza has his. I think he does a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, it's called something about the vault.
Toxic
Vault.
Yeah, the Toxic Vault.
Yeah, but I think that's really cool that, he's still really involved and he's really passionate. And there was some article saying,
And he still sounds good.
Yeah, he just seems like a cool guy. I would really like to meet Steve Souza. And Gary Holt, of course, is still up to a bunch. Tom Hunting, I'm not sure. Rob McKillop and Brain Fart. There's Rob McKillop. Damn it, what's his name? I know his name. Rick Hunolt. Yeah. And then Gary Holt, and then Tom Hunting.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, what's Rick Hunolt doing?
He's still in the band, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Think so?
Oh, okay. He plays guitar.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably wrong.
And this wasn't the original cover for this because it was supposed to be them being cannibals in the woods, and they were like,
We'll just put a very racist, whatever, native person on the back of it.
Yeah, I didn't know that was there until we got this, and I was like, what? But they named the skulls. It was like Grandpa Skull, Nanny Skull, or some shit in the middle. It's in the insert. But this was that had an anniversary, and that's my favorite Exodus album.
Yeah, mine is still Fabulous Disaster.
That is it is a tough call, but I think my favorite's Pleasures of the Flesh because I had listened to it so much. Like Brain Dead is my favorite track off this album.
Your favorite isn't Blood In, Blood Out?
What the fuck's that off of?
That's the album, the one that came out a few years ago.
That's why I don't know it. Okay. I like how I was like, Steve Souza's a cool guy, and I'm like, what the? I don't know that album. Let's like, I don't have anything against the new albums. It's just like, if I'm gonna pick up an Exodus album, is it gonna be this or one of the other ones? And the other album we're gonna talk about is actually one of your, or an album that you very much prefer. I don't know if it would be going too far to say one of your favorite albums.
It's one of my favorite like Death Doom albums. It's a little rough, so you gotta kind of ignore some of the bad production. And we have the poster up on the wall above me, but you can't see it. Above the Haunt poster flag for those that are watching. See, when did
you gonna say what it is?
Oh yeah, it's Dream Death Journey into Mystery.
And the album art ain't great.
No, it's pretty bad.
What is it? I remember saying like, what is going on here? It's like there's a weird.
It's like a dude lighting a candle with this little weird demon dragon.
It looks like some shit you find in the woods is from 100 years ago that you definitely shouldn't touch.
But a little girl painted it after she was like in 7th grade art class.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's Santa Claus's hand up here. Or is it just appearing and like, oh, let me light this candle for you?
Yeah, it's like a hand that's got like some fluffy white stuff all around the wrist, like Santa's sleeves.
It reminds me of that Hades album cover. If at first you don't succeed, like, what the hell's going on there? All two of you that know what I'm talking about. It's like the dude's hands with a cup about to do a magic trick in a void, and he has rings on. I don't know. It's just weird. But that album's awesome.
New Renaissance Records.
So this came out on, let's see. I wrote it down.
20. Doesn't say.
I forgot to write it down, and since you don't know, I have to look it up.
Well, it doesn't say. We both have the Bloody Sabbath shirt that the guy's wearing on the back. The singer guitarist guy.
It's that one that's got different colors going on. It's not like the washed out yellow.
It's a tour shirt.
1987.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't for sure.
It sucks when you look for a year on a record and you look where it's supposed to be and it just says nothing. And you're like, cool, great, wonderful.
It says a cover illustration by Sue Rupert. So I might be right. She might have been a girl in 7th grade art class.
Sue Rupert.
I wonder what she's up to these days.
Was it one of their girlfriends or something?
I don't know.
My girlfriend did this painting, and they have like this awesome album art, and she's like, if you don't use it, I'm going to break up with you.
It could have been a boy named Sue.
It sounds like a 50s song, A Boy Named Sue.
That's a Johnny Cash song. How do you do? You've never heard a boy named Sue?
Nuh-uh. I guess I was right about it being a song.
Yeah.
Were there any other albums that we actually had that came out?
I'm not sure.
I'm just gonna go over it.
I don't know exactly if this came out in October or not, but
it's relevant though.
It is relevant. It's a good one to listen to.
Fastway's
soundtrack for the movie Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat.
No.
I don't like that movie.
So this is also known as Trick or Treat Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
And it's got Oh, Ozzy Osbourne in the title, even though he was in it for...
And wasn't it called Ragman?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's called Ragman in Europe somewhere.
Oh, really?
I think so.
You know what? People...
Gene Simmons looking like a dorky
The
cowboy.
radio DJ, Gene Simmons. People rag on this movie, but even maybe next podcast we're going to talk about how awesome it is. And if you don't like it, I don't understand you.
If you would like us to talk about Trick or Treat,
and Shock 'em Dead, because we named our podcast after the movie Shock 'em Dead.
And that's a good movie.
Yes, very much like that.
If you would like us to talk about those, maybe some other metal exploitation horror movies, let us know in the comments down below.
We could fill up about 2 hours with that because I feel like we talked about The Evil Dead for a long time, but we both love that movie. And I think it's also special because we both like it.
All of these albums we've been talking about, you should go listen to them.
Yes, especially, not all of them, but that Fastway soundtrack for Trick or Treat, and the fact that it's got the backwards part that you could actually...
Yeah, play it backwards, like in the movie.
Yes, but Sammy Kerr doesn't come in your speaker. Spoiler.
But it doesn't do that on YouTube or Spotify, though.
No.
I don't know. They might have made it backwards, though.
That's not the same. You're not actually moving the record.
This is
Deborah Hoy. We tried to do that, though. One time we recorded ourselves saying, this is Deborah Hoy, and we put it backwards, and it sounded exactly like it.
Yeah. This is Deborah Hoy.
That sounded pretty accurate. That was good.
Got a lot of practice.
That was good, though. That could work. If you can put that backwards, I bet you could hear.
Last but not least, this album, well, I'm holding up Sabotage's Hall of the Mountain King, not because it came out in October, which, I don't know, it might have, but because...
I don't think so.
On this day, October 17th in 1993, the founding member and guitarist Chris Oliva died in a car accident.
It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
He was an amazing guitarist and songwriter. Really nice guy, apparently.
Really big influence on my playing.
And I know Ian.
Yeah, Ian from Cauldron worships him.
But the Vicious Rumors wrote a song about him called Thunder and Rain. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It's been a while since I've heard that, but that song is about him. And then Carl Albert died a few years later in a car crash.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Carl Albert is one of my favorite singers, and I love Vicious Rumors. They're one of my favorite bands. You bought me Welcome to the Ball on vinyl, and I never thought I would have that album. And he also bought me a Welcome to the Ball shirt.
I'm pretty sure it's right here. Yeah.
Wow. On command. There it is. He's holding up the album Vicious Rumors, Welcome to the Ball. I will do a post on Instagram as well for all of the records. I'll take a picture of everyone we've mentioned.
That was the one with that Gary dude singing.
Soldiers of the Night. It was, no, Gary Moore's on it.
No, not Gary Moore.
Oh, Vinnie Moore. Vinnie Moore, duh.
No, it's the Gary guy was singing.
Oh, yeah, Gary St. Pierre. Jeff Thorpe's hair. I was going to do an interview with Jeff Thorpe before.
For Thrash Dance fans.
Yes. Didn't work out because he had a scheduling conflict or something, because I was willing to do it, like, over the phone, and I was having to do this weird thing where I recorded, but it didn't work out, and I was really upset. But, Larry Howe still plays in Vicious Rumors. He's an underrated drummer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk another time about Vicious Rumors, but
And Carl Albert's son.
Carl Albert's son sounds exactly like his dad.
But he looks like he just got out of prison. Sorry, Carl Albert's son, if you're listening to this.
You have a great voice, though. I'll talk about it at a different time. But
maybe grow your hair out some, son.
This album cover means a lot to me, though, because this was the first album that I loved that wasn't mainstream metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, after I listened to Metallica and Megadeth, I forget how I stumbled upon it. It was on YouTube. Yeah. Because I wasn't able to go to record stores and stuff. But I never saw a high-quality picture of the cover until I had this record that you bought me, and there's so much detail on this. Like, I guess people would think it's a goofy album cover, but it makes me think of me first discovering the majesty of underground metal.
It's a giant ball with a bunch of spikes sticking out of it.
Yeah, that's their logo thing.
Destroying some kind of big Coliseum looking thing.
I guess the ball.
I wonder if that's like in Florida or something. I doubt it. I don't know. Is that like something from England?
I never thought about it. Excuse me. I just thought it was a...
Oh, David Starr played 4 and 8 string basses.
Wonder what Dave Starr's up to now. I know.
I'm friends with him on Facebook. He does wiring harnesses for guitars and plays Christian music.
So does Brain Fart. Not Craig. Dang, where'd the other record go? They had their names on it.
Their names are right here.
Mark McGee. Mark McGee plays in a Christian band too.
I think they're in the same band. I think
it's called like World. It's not World Church, because World Church is a song off of the title album, which came. It was their third album. Was their title album?
Isn't it like David Starr's something?
No, that was something else. This is his. That's Mark McGee's band. But Mark McGee, they were all awesome musicians. And you know what? I better stop myself now, because I will just keep talking about Vicious Rumors. But those were the albums that came out either this week or
sometime in October.
Yes, in the past month, those were the albums that came out. And For Determination.
Mm-hmm.
By Sacrifice.
And Rain and Blood.
Yes, For Determination was one of the other first. Because I heard Soldiers of Misfortune first, and then I heard For Determination after I met you, actually, because that was your favorite album, and you were like, you should listen to that. And I was like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Some Canadian thrash at its best.
Yes, for sure. They're awesome.
Which I really like Soldiers of Misfortune, too, though.
I feel like that's a little more somber, that album.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, I wouldn't say slow, but it's got, like, mid-paced songs that go into faster, like the title track.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, it's catchy. It's really great. But Soldiers of Misfortune, or no, For Determination, just straight up thrash, I think.
And Reanimation.
Yes.
It's the best song.
The song's awesome. So if you haven't heard that album, if you haven't heard any of these albums, please go check them out. And some other ones I'd like to mention that came out. I'm talking like it's an award ceremony. And some other little
honorable
children.
mentions.
Gorefest, False. All of their album covers are trash.
Uh-huh.
But I like their music. Benediction, Dark is the Season, and The Grand Leveler. They both came out in October. And I love Benediction. And that EP, Dark is the Season, is awesome. And then the LP, The Grand Leveler, awesome. Hypocrisy, Absolium Obscenum, Autopsy, Acts of the Unspeakable, and for some reason I wrote down that it was Thomas Lindbergh's birthday from Deicide. Okay. Gorguts Considered Dead.
Merciful Fate's Melissa came out in October.
Yes.
Melissa, you are the one.
And then I made a note about Dan Seagrave, but we will talk about him, maybe when Cody's on.
Mm-hmm. Cody is a very good artist.
Yeah, very talented artist.
He's a very good bringus.
Very good boy with the art and drumster dives. But yeah, he knows way more. He knows way more art people than we do, so he'll probably talk about that.
Bob Ross. Bet you does know him.
He did a bunch of death metal albums, I'm pretty sure. Do you imagine? So it's like a death metal band use one of those happy tree ones, but they just like make an angry face on it or something? I don't know.
We're going to put a happy little tree on the side of this demented volcano with souls pouring out of it.
That sounds pretty cool.
The happy little tree next
Maybe
to
not the happy little. I mean,
a volcano of souls.
it's like Tornado of Souls, though. Your phrasing was good. That could be an album cover for like your side project.
Speaking of which, I was gonna throw that at the end of the podcast, like one of the songs.
We need to record it for real at some point.
Yeah.
I call drums because Scott's got too much on his plate. Ha, Scott.
Scott, if you're listening, she's been wanting to play drums on that for a long time.
I don't. Scott's probably working too much to listen to this. He's like, I have to hear these motherfuckers all the time. I ain't listening to this. Yeah, but you know what? I think that about wraps it up, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will return and report back on how the gig was and everything. How I'm more excited to see Raven.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna think about the fact that we have to open
For a band that's only been together for 3 months. Since June 27th, however many months that's been, 3 or 4 or 5.
I have to lug in my whole kit. I hate that when people are like, do you need help? I'm like, no, I don't fucking need help. Get out of my way. It's like, can you carry that? Oh, little girl's coming through.
Why's the merch girl got the drum set?
I've never actually heard that, but there have been people that have been like, are you in the band? And when we played that Dirk Schneider gig, the person was like, are you in the band? I was like, why would I lie? Just give me my damn wristband. And then the dude at Blood of the Wolf thought I was the merch girl, and I was like, I'm in the band. And then the next day, he had the wristband ready. He was like, here you go, I'm sorry. It's like, that's just so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, I have nothing against female singers because that's a hell of a thing to do if you're good at your craft. But people assuming that I'm the singer. Yeah. I play drums. I don't get it. But you know what? I hope that doesn't happen this time. But if it does, won't be super surprised. And we get to play at a pretty nice venue. That's where we saw Creator.
Diamond Concert Hall used to be Diamond Pubs and Billiards.
Oh, so they actually changed the name. I thought they were just saying that to be fancy.
Yeah, they changed the name.
Yeah, but we'll be playing there on the 20th, 2 days before my birthday. Hopefully I don't, mess up or something.
Explode like the Spinal Tap drummer.
I just have to not garden.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre gardening accident. Yeah, but you have anything else to add?
Nope. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Or
thanks.
you'll hear us next week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking around if you made it this far. Awesome. Thank you.
And this is Satan, Murderer.
Hell yeah.
Burn!
Tim the pirate? Yar, scurvy.